Have you ever judged someone in a single second, only to discover you were completely wrong? Imagine standing in a silent courtroom while a judge points at you and shouts, "Take that off." Every eye turns your way. You feel embarrassed, humiliated, and completely alone. But what no one knows is that the person they're looking down on has already sacrificed more for this country than most people ever will. Stay with me, because today's story proves that respect isn't earned by expensive clothes or fancy titles. Sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones who quietly carry their scars, and one act of kindness can change an entire room forever. Before we begin, welcome to Heartline Stories. If you enjoy emotional stories that restore your faith in humanity, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories just like this one. The courtroom in Norfolk, Virginia, was already crowded when Sarah Mitchell quietly stepped inside. She wore a simple navy blue jacket over an old military t-shirt. Around her neck hung a faded silver chain with a small metal tag that had been with her through years of service. It wasn't jewelry. It was a reminder of people she had promised never to forget. Sarah had been called as a witness in a veterans benefits case. She wasn't there to attract attention. She simply wanted to help another former service member receive the support he deserved. As she waited for the hearing to begin, she noticed an elderly veteran struggling to carry a heavy box filled with paperwork. Without hesitation, Sarah walked over and smiled. "Let me help you, sir." The old man looked surprised. "You don't have to do that." "I know," Sarah answered gently. "But kindness doesn't need a reason." She carried the box all the way to his seat and wished him good luck. Several people noticed her kindness, but no one knew who she really was. Moments later, the courtroom doors opened. Judge Eleanor Briggs entered with a serious expression. Everyone stood as she took her seat. As the proceedings began, the judge's eyes landed on Sarah. "What are you wearing around your neck?" she demanded. Sarah respectfully answered, "Ma'am, it's my military identification tag." The judge frowned. "This is a courtroom, not a military parade. Remove it immediately." The room became painfully quiet. Sarah gently touched the silver tag. "Your Honor, with respect, this belonged to someone who never came home. I wear it to honor a promise." The judge's voice grew colder. "I said take it off." Sarah lowered her eyes. She had faced enemy fire, dangerous missions, and heartbreaking losses, but somehow this moment hurt even more. Slowly, she reached toward the chain. Just then, the courtroom doors opened once again. A tall man in a navy dress uniform entered with several officers following behind him. Every conversation stopped. It was Admiral Daniel Carter, commander of one of the Navy's largest fleets. The judge looked surprised. "Admiral, we weren't expecting you." The Admiral smiled politely before his eyes landed on Sarah. For a brief second, he froze. Then his face changed completely. "Shadow 6?" Sarah looked up in shock. Only people from one classified rescue unit knew that call sign. She stood instinctively. "Yes, sir." The Admiral walked directly toward her. Without saying another word, he saluted. Every person in the courtroom stared in disbelief. The highest-ranking officer in the room was saluting the woman who had been ordered to remove her military tag only moments earlier. The judge looked confused. "Admiral, do you know this woman?" He slowly turned toward the bench. "Know her?" His voice carried across the silent courtroom. "This woman saved the lives of 16 American sailors during one of the most dangerous rescue missions I've ever witnessed." Everyone remained silent. The Admiral continued. "When our helicopter was hit during a nighttime operation, communications failed. Most people believed our team would never return." He looked proudly at Sarah. But Shadow 6 refused to leave anyone behind. Sarah quietly lowered her head. She never enjoyed hearing people talk about her. The Admiral smiled. She carried wounded teammates across rough terrain for hours. She gave away her own water when supplies ran out. She stayed behind until every single sailor was safely evacuated. The elderly veteran Sarah had helped earlier wiped tears from his eyes. The Admiral gently pointed toward the silver tag. That tag belongs to Petty Officer Michael Reyes. Sarah nodded. He gave his life protecting mine. The Admiral's voice became emotional. Before he died, he asked Sarah to make one promise. Sarah whispered softly. I promised his family he would never be forgotten. The courtroom was completely silent. Judge Briggs slowly removed her glasses. For the first time, she truly looked at Sarah. Not at her clothes. Not at the old chain. But at the quiet strength behind her eyes. The judge stood. Ms. Mitchell. I owe you an apology. Sarah looked surprised. The judge continued. I judged you before I knew your story. Sarah smiled gently. It happens more often than you'd think. The judge lowered her head. I'm sorry. Sarah could have made the moment uncomfortable. She could have reminded everyone of the humiliation she had just experienced. Instead, she simply smiled. We all make mistakes, Your Honor. The courtroom relaxed as the tension disappeared. The Admiral quietly said, that right there is exactly why she became a legend. The hearing continued. Sarah gave calm, honest testimony that helped the struggling veteran receive the benefits he had been fighting for over 3 years. When the decision was announced in his favor, the old veteran burst into tears. He slowly walked toward Sarah. I don't know how to thank you. She gently hugged him. You already did. How? You kept believing. Outside the courthouse, reporters rushed toward the Admiral, hoping for comments about the dramatic courtroom moment. Instead, he pointed toward Sarah, who was helping the elderly veteran into his truck. There's your story. The reporters watched as Sarah refused every interview. She wasn't interested in fame. She cared only that another veteran finally received justice. One young reporter asked the Admiral, why doesn't she ever talk about what she accomplished? The Admiral smiled. Because real heroes don't spend their lives proving they're heroes. Weeks later, Judge Briggs invited Sarah back to the courthouse. This time, not as a witness. She asked Sarah to speak to new law students about respect, service, and compassion. Sarah stood before the group wearing the same simple clothes. The same silver tag rested around her neck. She told them something they would never forget. The easiest thing in the world is judging someone you don't know. The hardest and most important is choosing kindness before making assumptions. Many students wrote those words down. Years later, some still remembered them. Because one lesson taught with kindness lasts longer than 100 spoken with anger. Every person carries a story that others cannot see. Some battles leave no visible scars. Some heroes never wear medals in public. Some of the strongest people quietly help others while asking for nothing in return. If this story reminds us of anything, it's this: kindness costs nothing, but it can restore someone's dignity, heal wounded hearts, and change lives forever. So the next time you meet someone, choose compassion before judgment. You never know whose silent courage you're standing beside. Thank you for spending this time with Heartline Stories. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes kindness still matters. Together, let's make the world a little brighter, one kind act at a time.